Hey, what's going on, guys?
How
We've already
is
got a bunch in here.
everybody?
We've already got a bunch in here. Nikki, Michelle,
How
Stephanie, good to
cool is
see you
that?
all.
How goes it, everybody? Thanks for joining us. So
Yeah,
close to
absolutely.
Christmas.
So close to Christmas, right? Wow.
Hmm.
We all need a little Yule tide.
Right? We do. That we do. Guys, if you see me looking around, I'm just my normal, good old trying to make sure I have everybody's chats going at the same time thing.
Well, welcome, Brandy, Alex, Brenda, Stephanie. Again, good to see you all. Appreciate you coming out to see us.
Hi.
Appreciate it. How
Come
was, well,
on.
I almost hate to ask this because I kind of know. How has your week been?
Guys, my week's been pretty hectic. Behind the scenes, there's a lot going on. Um,
Okay.
I actually have a
So,
very sick horse at the moment. So he was good, and now he's not, and he's good, and he's
I
not.
get it.
So I'm going to be rushing back down to the barn
Okay.
after the show to try and figure out what's going on. So that's been my day. But you know what? On a plus note, I had a contest this week running for a pay it forward contest, and the contest basically stipulated that if you felt somebody else needed a reading, that you tag them in the post of the video. And what the people didn't know is that those people doing a selfless act, those people passing on that name also got a free reading because they were paying it forward. So basically, I gave away 8 free 30-minute online video sessions as a contest for next
Wow.
year. Yeah, and so I'm pretty blessed, and I was pretty excited that these people wanted it to be part of this, and so yeah, so there may be a couple viewers on tonight that I plugged our show a little bit of selfless pride. I said, come on down, listen to what we've got to say. And so hopefully you're joining us. But yeah, so that's the cool part of my week. I'd have to say that's the real cool part.
Katie, always the salesperson. Always the salesperson. You are the chief executive officer of our marketing department. I'm just saying. Yeah.
What can you say,
Um,
guys?
Gosh, what a crazy week. It's been all
Right?
over the place. Hey, Meg, how's it going? Lori, good to see you.
Yeah,
Uh,
just letting
Nikki's
y'all up there.
Nikki says she's sending positive and healing energy your way.
Oh, thanks,
Um,
Nikki. Everybody's
yeah.
got their own stuff they're going through, right? So,
Hey,
you know,
Liz.
um, I can't complain. All considering things are really good. But it sometimes it sucks. It is what it is. What can I do about it, right?
It always seems to get suckier the closer you get to a holiday, I think. I think that's kind of a tradition that you're going to have a moment of suckiness before you get to the actual holiday where you can enjoy it,
Yeah.
you know?
No matter how bad it is, it could always be worse. But I always joke with people that whoever has my voodoo doll, I want it back. Okay?
That's right.
Because
Whoever has my voodoo doll, stop it now.
exactly, I want it
Yeah.
back. Please. Pretty please.
Hey, Liz, good to see you from Scotland. Awesome. Good to have you.
Right?
God,
Wow, we've got
you guys are getting the cold weather right now too in Scotland, I know.
mhm.
It's, oof. Scotland's pretty, but wow, when it gets cold, it gets cold.
Right?
Crazy.
So hi
Uh,
Phil, David, Alex, Liz, Mort. How's it going, everybody? And Richard had mentioned a bunch of people in the chat room as well. Brandy, Nikki, Lori, Meg. Thanks y'all for coming in. Brenda, Stephanie, Nikki, Jen, Tara. Thank you guys. I know Richard
Hey,
said hi,
Joanne.
but I always feel like I want to say hi too.
Well, you're still missing your mirror. We need to find one of those for you.
I gotta find a mirror. I gotta find a mirror.
Your
Or
little
like a
romper room
crystal,
mirror.
like a special crystal. Oh, I could use my
Yeah.
crystal wand. Here's my
There you
crystal
go.
wand.
There you go.
Oh.
Nice. Nice. Crystal one. Yay.
So, what are we
Um,
talking about tonight, Richard? What are we talking about? This is a pretty cool subject tonight.
yeah, tonight is a whole topic, and we want to have free discussion tonight, guys. Look, we want your feedback, your questions, your examples, your best everything, best practices, everything in the subject, because it's a tough subject, haunted objects.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know that there are some out there that collect them. We have a mutual friend of the show, as well as for Katie, Tim Shaw,
Mm-hmm.
who showed us an example of what he's got. Yeah, I'd have to have a lead encased room just to be able to put all that crap into. I could not do that.
right?
God bless that man. God bless him.
You know the song,
God.
I always feel like somebody's watching me. That's right here. And so just,
Yeah.
having those sensitivities, and then let's add some haunted objects on top of that. Like, I'm telling you,
Yeah, why couldn't he collect baseball cards like everybody else? You know what I mean? Just I don't understand it. Hi, Jocelyn. How are you?
he's got
Um,
it, man. He's got it.
oh my gosh. I'm afraid even somebody on an investigation taking an item from the premise. I that's not good at all. That's scary stuff. There's always an attachment to a lot of that stuff that comes out of that places. That's kind of where I like to start off with because I mean I know there's got to be other people in here. Hey Phil, there's got to be other people in here that have gone on investigations, and somebody on a team or maybe yourself has popped away with a rock or oh look
Mhm.
at that hat. Look, I have not had anything positive come out of that kind of a thing, and it's really something that people need to take to heart. I mean, you bring it home, and all of a sudden you've got issues
Mhm.
that you have to call in somebody to take care of.
Right.
And haunted items, haunted objects are pretty crazy. There's several. There's a TV show on now about it. Johnny Zaffis used to have a show about it. That was his
Mhm.
entire thing. And yeah, no, not for me. No, I'd rather just chill out and investigate and go home without anything in my pocket. Not for
Right.
me.
Too much.
Was
So I think I think too, it depends on, as you said, it's the premise of why things are haunted, or what happened to it. Not only is there a haunted factor to it, but it's the ambient energy around it. So, sometimes there's the old adage that a place for everything and everything in its place. And, they used to talk about, I've heard many stories of people taking volcanic rock or lava rock from Hawaii and having it shipped back because bad stuff was happening. So
mm-hmm.
there's kind of a karmic reaction that occurs sometimes when you have something perhaps you shouldn't be possessing. Now, when you're talking about certain haunted objects, does that mean you never pick up a rock and take it home? Got a bit of a problem. I've got lots of rocks. Can I tell you where every single one of these rocks came from? No, I can't. A lot of the rocks I do have, I did rock bounce myself or picked them up from a place that I knew where they came from.
Right.
But you
Hey,
can't, no matter
Charles.
what you purchase in life, whether it's a rock
Hey,
or
Night
whether
Walker.
it's a wooden cabinet, you don't know the premise behind it. There was a movie years ago called The Blood Diamond, right? And it was about the blood, sweat, and tears that went into certain things. I don't really want to get into it too deeply, but bottom line, there was a lot of things that went into that. And so
Right.
that's the type of energy that occurs in some occurrences when you're dealing with objects. I have a little bit of a history of different types of dolls per se that I'd like to read. I'm going to reference it from history uofdolls.com. That's just I'm referencing it there. But there's many different types of dolls, and the dolls in itself go right back to Egypt. And so, they talk about it's a figure of a human being, essentially, and that sometimes of an animal, used most often as a children's toy in magic and religious rituals. There are documents that prove that dolls were used in ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome. They were made from materials that were available like clay, stone, wood, bone, ivory, leather, or wax. There's also archaeological evidence that dolls were oldest known toys. But they go even farther than just toys. They talk about holding the spirit of that dead loved one,
Hey,
or of
Tammy.
that child. In Egypt, they talk about the fact of the matter that they would place the dead animals wrapped up, or the essence of that person, into the crypt with these dead loved ones to try and take them with them in spirit. And so there's a lot more that goes into these said objects, and sometimes we realize. A rock, for example. Now, this is a piece of selenite I use as an example, but it's got a vibration to it. It's a naturally occurring vibration. We don't think that anything was placed into it. It was there organically and put there, on its own. But the bottom line is, this thing. has vibrational frequency, and it's used for a lot of different things. What's to say something else in terms of a tragic event or a high level of emotion going into an object doesn't hold a similar vibration, in the sense that there could be anger or fear or trepidation, it could be depression. All sorts of things can go into or be instilled and printed into that object. So, it's not always bad, but if you think about it, when was the last time that you got so angry you were spitting mad? You probably remember it. When was the last time that you laughed so hard you cried because it was such a wonderful event? You probably won't remember it. A lot of times we remember the kind of stressful events because there's more of an expulsion of energy than the happy events. And that's not to say the happy events don't occur, but there's a sentiment that's beholden to that. And so I think that when you're curing these objects and you're keeping these objects, taking them home with you, that you may in fact be possessing some of that energy that it's holding.
Now you're scaring me.
Why?
Thanks. No. The doll thing, I've had several comments on here. Tammy had said that's the reason why I don't like dolls. I mean, it's kind of comical to a
don't
point.
Like dolls.
Yeah, no. I remember doing one investigation that we filmed, and it was a lady that owned the home, and in this one particular room, she had about 45 to 50 dolls. And I'm talking about the old porcelain dolls from way back. Some are even made out of burlap. Tell you how old they are. And he had one, they were all lined up along the back side of the bed, and everything was cool. Then, all standing on straight. We go out of the room and investigate another room. We come back into there, and one of the dolls has made its way from the headboard area 3.5 to 4 feet to the middle of the bed. Okay. So we were in there investigating, and I just got this energy off this doll. And I looked at the camera and I said, so what's with the doll? Because it's creeping me out. And after I said that, the minute I finished that statement, we heard a loud growl, disembodied, come from the doll. Yeah. So not a doll fan.
No, Chief.
No.
One of the most famous dolls out there is the Annabelle doll. And the Annabelle doll is said to be from the 1970s. It was a young college student named, so I'll read you a little bit about the history of it, okay? A young college student named Donna gave the doll to Ed and Lorraine Warren. Now, for those of you that don't know Ed and Lorraine Warren, they are pioneers in the paranormal field. They are one of the originating investigators that started trying to figure out what paranormal was happening and what was going on. And so this doll they possessed in the 1970s. Originally, Donna received the doll as a gift from her mother, who purchased it at an antique shop. Over time, Donna and her roommate noticed that the doll had a tendency to move. Okay. Be it from locations throughout the apartment, positions, upright, legs crossed, etc. Later, after these realizations, things escalated. So, there was a film there was a film made about it. If you guys want to know a little bit more about it, if you want to Google it, spend some time researching it. But the bottom line is that this thing could manifest movements and things. The lady who possessed the doll would find notes that said help in the apartment. She had been covered in bad substance. There was things all over her. It's almost like this doll was fully possessed. Now, did anybody film it? Did anybody get 100% proof of it? I'm not sure. I mean, that was back in the day. But the bottom line is, they did many exorcisms. They did many investigations to try to get rid of this thing. To this day, I still believe it possesses some sort of an energy to it. So what caused that? That's the question we want to ask. What caused this possession? And
I don't know.
It's yet to be seen.
Well, Nikki brings up a good point. She said there are certain objects or materials more likely to attract or contain spiritual energy. There's always the old stone tape theory as far as objects go. But honestly, I think if the energy has the ability to renew itself, it will remain no matter what. And that can mean the energy can mean something as simple as your fear. When you get frightened, you give out thermal heat, your blood pressure goes up, your heart rate goes up, you give out thermal heat, you're feeding the fire. But
Hmm.
the stone tape theory is simply is things that are made out of recordable materials, wood, rock, quartz, limestone. Down in the southeast of the United States, quartz and limestone is a makeup of most of the states out here. So I mean, you're talking about what would normally would equate to a hard drive and a battery. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of that, but it depends on how much energy was put into that object.
Hmm.
Some people have designed certain objects to be charged with energy, negative energy. Look at the Dybbuk box, for
Hmm.
example. Whoa. I've seen some really bad examples of those things going awry, and people were buying them off. I think they're still buying them off the internet. I'm like, well, you don't
Why?
even know what's in that thing, man.
Yeah. Alex
Crazy.
Zandra had mentioned that they used real hair on the doll of the deceased. So they would often use, and there were mourning hair that they would take off, and they would make beautiful, brilliant designs in the Victorian era. But it's like a mourning box where they would have hair. And sometimes it was generational, where different generations of this hair was put into this beautiful flower box or design box. Um, does that possess sometimes the essence of that person? I think absolutely it can. Is every cemetery haunted? Probably not. Does every Just because it hosts the bodies of these individuals who are deceased, does it mean that there's a spirit there? No, but there could be ambient residual energy, in the sense that you may not see that person who committed suicide as you walk by their grave, but you may feel their emotional energy as you walk by. You may feel their depression or their despair. You may feel their regret. There's things that you may pick up on that may not be a present haunt, present energy that entity is wanting you to feel, but you're picking up on that piece of past.
And then Nikki said, brought up the whole thing about Dybbuk boxes as a point of interest. She said, what about cursed objects and how to safely deal with them, like Dybbuk boxes? She said, I wouldn't open any of them for any amount of money. Don't blame you. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. The big no to.
no.
Yeah, no. I think, unless
Hey,
you know what
Adam.
you're getting into, people ask me all the time, aren't you afraid to investigate? They're intimidated about paranormal investigating. And, you have to, there's trial and error, and you learn sometimes the hard way about doing things. I can't say if there's any paranormal investigator or any psychic medium, anybody interested in the paranormal that tells you they've never made a mistake, or they've never unintentionally brought energy or an object or something home that had energy to it, whether it's even your own flashlight that you were carrying, or pieces of your clothing. We've all brought something home. And sometimes we were stubborn about it, and we learned the hard way. I know I did. I took certain things for granted during an investigation. I was ignorant to the fact, because I was not seasoned. I didn't know what I was getting into, and I thought it would be cool. It's the same thing as provocation. People don't realize that there's much more to it than just kind of teasing the spirit to get them to react to you. And so using trigger objects, whether it's
Hey,
something
Donna.
that has an energy attached, or the fact of the matter that you bring a trigger object to conduct an investigation, there can be energy absorbed to it during that time.
I'm trying to get to, we had a, here we go. Tara said, if it were possible to make a voodoo doll, you would have to infuse energy into it somehow, right? Yeah. I mean, the energy is also got to be a person, I would believe, that has a connection with you. And that connection is what transfers that energy from the doll to them. And again, I'm going to need to be rocked to sleep tonight because these subjects are going to get me.
Remember, guys, it's the active intent that is the most powerful, right? So, intent is, without question, you're doing something. You have that emotion. You're driven. It's what you want. The intent on hurting somebody is one direction. The intent on saving somebody is another direction. Um, Remember when you're dealing with holy water, it's been blessed with the intent of blessing to it, right? It hasn't been chemically changed or enhanced. It hasn't. There's no special additives to it. It's simply blessed by somebody who is qualified to do so. So it's the same with the voodoo doll. It's the same with the cleansing things that we have. Nobody, in my opinion, anyways, and correct me if I'm wrong, put sage on this earth to say that's specifically for cleansing. Nobody put selenite on this earth saying specifically we use this for charging and we use this for healing and clearing energy work, but it works. And so we kind of capitalize on the positivity of these things. And it's the same thing with whether it's a voodoo doll or you're doing some sort of a reversal, or you're doing a casting, or you're a cleansing. It's that intent you're putting out there with a question that is getting results. So if somebody had enough intent when they pass that they were going to, they love this doll, or they did not want to leave their home, they did not, they absolutely love their favorite chair, do not get rid of that when I go, and they were so intent on having that in their life, in death, that may be what's holding them. That doll, that love, that guilt, that sentiment may, in essence, not only be, holding a vessel for them to live in, but it could be almost like a genie in a bottle where they're stuck and they can't leave that place and they need your help.
Yeah, it gets very complicated when you think about it. I mean, really, it does. You have to really think it through before you perform any of these acts. Like, here's another one. Nikki says, can the person who takes or collects these objects influence the energies inside the object? In other words, changing it or potentially the force in it somehow. Everything is on intent. Do I think you can cleanse a haunted item? Yep, I've done it. I'm sure Katie's done it. It's something that you can do. As far as changing the direction of the item, again, that's something you would have to charge with your energy after you did a cleansing. Again, I won't collect haunted objects because I don't want that work. Nope, and I don't want it in my house. And with negative spirits, you really have to invite them in. Hey, open up a Divx box in your dining room. What are you doing then?
Right.
Oof, something to think about.
Something that Tim had mentioned in a previous episode, guys, and if you really want to know more about Tim Shaw, he's a really cool, psychic medium, paranormal investigator, shaman, haunted collector. But he's not afraid to keep those things in his house. I'm not saying never do it, but he has the intent of keeping things in a certain space, and he has the intent of, he knows what he will allow and won't allow in his home. So for him, that intent is what's so powerful. I have certain haunted objects that I possess, that I have in my possession. I would not call myself a collector. I'm not out looking for these things, but it is pieces that people were afraid of, or they wanted. I have a haunted painting in my garage that I won't bring in the house. I've cleansed it multiple times, and I don't want to leave it anywhere because it's very powerful. So there it'll stay, until I can find a good home for it, or I actually talked to Johnny Zappas about it, actually, and had asked him previously what I should do with it. So, you have to ask yourself, too, just because you possess something that has a lot of power, how are you going to get rid of it? How are you going to handle it responsibly? A lot of these people selling these things just want rid of it. We've heard many stories about spirit boards coming back, spirit people getting rid of them, or burning them, or burying them, or throwing them out, and they show up back at your door, show up back on your table. So, you have to deal with these things responsibly.
And then there are also some people that get a haunted object and are not affected by it. I mean, Mort just said that in his statement, really. So I was given 2 haunted items from 2 different friends that were both affected by the items, but I had no activity. Good for you, because that doesn't happen too often. The majority of the time, people are affected by it. I won't take the chance. No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I'm even so to a point of superstition about it. I carry my, my Super 7 stone in my pocket all day long.
Yep. No, that's smart to do that. It's absolutely a smart move. Charles says you should never touch a D-box, meaning a Divx box. They are very evil. Ask any real demonology expert. Yes, I agree, Charles. There's a lot of fakes out there, too. There's a lot of people, again, that want to capitalize on that. No matter what you deal with, you're going to get rotten apples. You're going to get people who are just looking to make a bottom dollar. So, you never know what you're getting. But the legit ones, yeah, it's pretty scary. Curses have been so powerful. And for thousands of years, curses have been used to keep The bad out and the bad in, and the good out and the good in. So, there is power to this. Now, Alex says some people just want money. You know what? You're absolutely right, Alex. I agree with you. It's unfortunate for them to ruin it, but they do.
Yeah.
Um, so the paranormal, paranoia, Ghostbusters, there are so many fake Divx boxes out there. How do you guys determine genuine boxes? How would you determine that?
I mean, honestly, you as a psychic medium, you can feel the energy. I mean, that's hard to find. The problem is you got to come in close no contact with it, and at that point, is it really too late? Maybe. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those things have a lot of. I mean, true Dybbuk boxes. The Dybbuk boxes have a mountain of energy in them, and I've learned over the years from myself that I don't want to take a chance. I won't buy one off of eBay like normally people are doing now. They're buying them off of eBay. I won't. If somebody says, "Hey, I've got a Dybbuk box, would you open it for me?" Nope, nope.
Yeah.
Will you be there when I do it? Nope, nope. I like me in one piece. I like me metaphysically whole. I like me emotionally whole. I don't want anything to get in that way. And I'm already dealing, as most likely mediums, already dealing with other stuff besides their own life. They're dealing with other people's stuff. You got enough going on. I don't want any part of jumping into the ring with something I'm absolutely unaware of, but can feel a negative, nasty stuff coming out of the box at me. Man, not for me. I'm good. Call me a chicken. I'm good with it. I'm
No,
good with
you
it.
know what? There's nothing wrong with that, Richard. People have different experiences, and you have to ask yourself why the DivX box was developed in the first place. What was the intent on that? And a lot of times it was keeping evil in and evil. So how much do you want out of that? There's certain things that hold positivity to it. A cross. A cross has got that positive vibe to things. Sage, those are positive intentions and intent in
Mhm.
it. You don't think of negativity when you think of those things. Now, there are certain circumstances where somebody had a bad memory or a bad, instance, occurrence, whatever you want to call it, with certain objects like that. It's not always positive, but for the most part, the overall thought of that is a positive thing, right?
Oh, it is. And Alex just said, I use salt and water. You're a girl after my own heart there. I use salt and water to repel negative energy. Yup. Every time I do a house cleansing, I coat it with salted water.
Right?
It's a modus operandi for anybody that does house cleansing to have salt nearby. It is just one of those things where you just need to keep it in your cross, so to speak. But good on you, Alex.
Right?
Okay, so Brandy says my stepmom loved jewelry and she loved to flash her jewelry. I have the earrings that she cherished and she was wearing when she had passed away. Sorry to hear about your loss. Um, I actually wore them. Could a dead person be attached to things like that? Yes. Yeah, that's an easy yes. You don't have to be a certain size. Doesn't have to be a certain material to attract energy or attach energy to it. It doesn't. Um, I mean, it just depends if you feel something when you put them on. Hopefully it's good. I mean, hopefully it's something that reassures you that it's your mom. But that's something you got to look out for too. That's why antique stores are one of the most active locations I've ever been to because they
Mhm.
just they just carry stuff that people have passed away and sold and given on, and you have so much energy collected in those places. And most of the items in the antique stores, right, they're wood. Well, that's a capture item. That's something that you really have to be careful of. And April Smith says, even just going into your friendly neighborhood Goodwill store has its host of disadvantages. Yeah, yeah. Besides, the stuff that you actually people might be buying there is, oh. But I go there myself to buy some cool finds, but you got to be careful where you get into.
Yeah. Now, somebody
You
asked
really do.
about what the DivX box was about. And it's actually Jewish, I believe. Now, don't quote me, I'm not an expert on the subject, but I believe it was in Yiddish or Jewish that they had, it was folklore, and there was something to do with, they made this box and kept it instead of, people going into another soul or another spirit or haunting. And so it kind of encapsulated, essentially this negative energy. And so there's different accounts out there. And again, that's kind of a general term, but there was a lot of hype around it the last couple of years with people selling these things. And you'd find old boxes, shoe boxes to cabinets to wooden boxes that had different types of seals on them and different types of what would you call them, inscriptions, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
of different symbols and all that stuff. And basically, a lot of these things were haunted. Now, again, buyer beware. You get what you pay for, and if you don't do your research, you might be getting something fake. But that's essentially, in a nutshell, pardon the pun, what you're getting.
Now I'm going to let you answer this question, even though Tara pointed at me. Richard, what is a Super 7 stone? By the way, Katie is the stone crystal lady, so I'm going to let her take that one. I just know it works for me. It's got a lot of energy and a lot of power. So,
Super Seven Stone is a set of different energies to it. So it's different colors depending on what you get. Usually there's in it, you can have like almost like fluorite. So you can have green, white, yellow, purple, those types of things. And it basically, because it's all different vibrations, it's almost like taking care of all of your chakras at once. So it's like, how do I describe it to you? It's just different colors. The closest, this is very similar. This would be a similar stone where you can see different colors to it. This is kind of a bad, I don't have a white piece of paper to kind of show you, but it would be something similar to that. Do you have yours on hand, Richard?
no, I don't. It's in the other room, which I
That's
don't
okay.
like. I normally like it on my person. The stones, the story of the stone is it is designed to absorb the paranormal energy.
Mhm.
It is also designed for protection because of the high vibrational level that the stone operates with. And if you ever want to get rid of negative, you got to get near positive. So
Mhm.
that's the trucker version. Of course, Katie was a lot more eloquent about it than I was, but that's the trucker version of it. I know the stone works. It is something that just is designed to protect you and to absorb energy and to move through it. It's you can find them just about anywhere online. I would recommend everybody have one. I was given this one as a gift, and it to me it means a lot because it works. It
Mhm.
works. So yeah, look at it. Super 7 stone, guys. Get one, put it in your pocket. You get
Yeah.
up for work.
And there's different types of it. Like there you can have aquamarine. I think you can have amethyst in it. You can have rose, smoky quartz. You can have citrine in it. Like there's all sorts of different things that you can have in the stone, and like lepidolite, all of that stuff kind of goes in it, and it's different colors. So it's kind of like the links of humanity essentially, and it just changes the vibration. Not only does it put out energy, but it absorbs negative energy, like Richard said.
Yep, and you want that. Now, Adam said
Mhm.
I have an old compass that I don't know if it's haunted, but when I hold it, I get a feeling of fear. Can you explain what that could be? Again, that could be a transference of energy. Compasses are usually, um, I know as an old mariner myself, compasses have a history onto themselves from the time they were installed for the first time or held for the first time. You're holding in your hand, right? Usually they're made out of brass. And brass again is another conductive energy piece, another conductive energy metal,
Mhm.
and that could have been put into that. That energy could have been put into that by the person who had it. If it's a true compass and it's designed for like things like mariner use and marine use rather than that. I know as a guy who ran boats for a living that you get scared to wits once in a while on the boat. And you might find your way through the fog back then with just a compass and you're scared to death. So that kind of fear energy could have that's a high energy level. Fear is an incredible power source for good and bad, to a point. But I would say that's most likely if you're getting that. What's funny? I would probably put a K2 meter on it.
Mhm.
Put a K2 meter on it if you got one and see if it lights up. If it reacts on a K2 meter, there's energy attached to it. If not, you might be just scared. And I don't know. But yeah, I would do that. I would take a look at it with the K2 meter and see.
Yeah, and also too, psychometry. Psychometry is the type of occurrence where people who are sensitive to it can pick up an object. So you pick up the object and you feel what kind of energy is kind of imprinted into it. Okay, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's a piece of jewelry or clothing or something that could have hold that energy. Perhaps what you're picking up is the feel or the feeling that the one of the last feelings that that person who owned that compass had before death. There's a lot of things to it, and so don't be afraid to write these things down. Take some time and kind of absorb that information and try and get more out of it, because you may be finding that somebody's trying to come through that compass. We did an episode a couple of weeks back, and it was an old school episode where there were different household items you could use as an in an investigation, and compass was one of them. A compass, the symbolism behind that is direction, to find your path, to find your way. And maybe it's more of what the compass is telling you. Maybe you've got some fear going on there, and I'm not going to get into readings, but sometimes it's not you reading the compass, it's the compass reading you.
Yeah. And again, what can take energy can also give energy. So that's exactly what
Mhm.
she's talking about. Alyssa, this is a brilliant show. It's so interesting.
Oh,
And thank
yeah.
you. No, we thank you guys. You're the only reason why we're doing this. I'm gonna tell you now. I could talk to her all day long on the phone. She knows that. But to get out here and do this is only for you guys. So we appreciate that. Thank you, Liz, very much. Now, David asks, what are the boxes made of? I have not seen any boxes that have not been made out of anything other than wood. Um, I mean, I'm sure there might be other materials, but again, you're also thinking wood. What's going to absorb energy? Wood. Typically they're sealed with a wax stamp, seal around the edges with wax as well. They're tied closed. It's just several ways they can do it, but typically that's the way that things happen, David.
Hmm.
Yeah, Charles said the D boxes have a very high level of demon inside. They can. They can have very negative, nasty energy, mostly.
Hmm.
Um, Trying to see, we've got a lot of commentary, guys. We appreciate it very much. But yeah, and then paranormal Ghost Hunters Road says, yeah, but even if you get a story with the box, could it be like Chinese whispers? I believe that they could be a part of witchcraft. I wouldn't doubt it.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I mean, there's so many ways that people take the left-hand turn on the paranormal nowadays, and they set things up, for a metaphysical surprise, by hiding objects or hiding writings or hiding stamps, whatever in those boxes. You just got to be really, really careful. I would never, like I said again, I would never buy one. I would never be a witness to one being opened. Uh, you know, it's kind of crazy, but yeah, they call me a skater cat. I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. Liz asks, how does a demon or a spirit get into the dolls? Back when, I'm going to give the trucker answer, because remember I'm the trucker dude. So I'm going to give the trucker answer, and I'm going to let Miss Eloquence here do it a lot better job than I am. So here's the thing: back then they were made in the image of the person that passed, and as has been said already, they used their hair for the dolls, and then they were laid in a coffin. And basically, it was a command to the spirit from the person that passed to enter the doll, so they can carry forward in this present life in the doll. That's kind of how it was. Basically, they were just conjured into the dolls, but they were made in the likeness of the people that passed. Pretty creepy process, but they would do all that, not knowing any harm. And now look, now you gotta be careful. If you look at a doll, is it still in the box? Because if it isn't, I don't want any part of it. Yeah, that's just me. Oh,
It's
we've got a
important, guys.
lot.
When you're purchasing anything, when you're going to a consignment store, when you're going to, uh, say an antique store, a garage sale, if you're going to anything and you're purchasing it used, whether you're buying it off of the internet or not, It's important to get the feel. How do you feel about that object? When you touch it, do you feel nervous? Do you feel upset? Do you feel scared? What is the purpose of this purchase? Are you purchasing it to refurbish? Are you using it in your home? Why are you getting this? And really kind of take some time to think about it. When you do purchase something, or say you want to, there's an old cabinet or shelving unit, something, a collectible that you enjoy that's antique, don't be afraid to bring it home. Leave it outside for a day or two if that's possible. If it's not, make sure you cleanse it right away. There used to be an old saying that, put a penny in it, to say to the spirits that you purchased said items, and sometimes they'll let you have it, in the sense that they may think it's theirs and you're stealing it from them. So they may be wreaking havoc, wanting it back, being possessive, pardon the pun, about the object. So there's a few things that you can do, and cleansing is never going to hurt the situation. I get asked all the time, well, I don't want to piss the spirit off. I don't want to anger it. Is it going to make it worse? Usually no. Usually it's not going to make it worse. You may notice a little bit more activity for a little bit, but I don't feel like it's going to make the situation worse. And like anything else, just because you cleanse it once doesn't mean that you may not have to cleanse it, again or several times, to make sure that nothing comes back. People can try and seal their house and somehow that mouse gets in, right? It's the same type of thing. Energy has a way of working its way back to you.
Now, Nikki says, I have felt that not all haunted items are necessarily negative and can provide a great deal of comfort and even protection. I listen to how my body and mind respond to the objects. Correct. I'll tell you a story where it is a negative. There is, at this building I never talked about before, called the Wright Hotel. Usually I look for a smile from Katie when I say that, but okay, yeah, there we go. On the post leading up to the first set of stairs, the lady Kate Wright, who is the last living Wright family owner of the hotel, people would get mail there. Back then, if you lived in a hotel, people got mail to a hotel. And right on the first staircase post, she had a river stone that she gotten from somewhere, and she would put it on top of the mail at the top of the post. Now, you don't think a lot about it until somebody moved the stone. And then I went back in not too long ago for a tour we did in October there, and all I kept on hearing from Kate was anger of, where's the stone? Where's my stone? Yeah, and when it got moved back, I don't even remember how it got moved back, but it got moved back and everything was peaceful and quiet. That was just her thing. She wasn't negative, but to her, it kind of reminds her, where she used to be. And, I think if somebody had announced, hey, we're going to move your stone over here, that would have been okay. But, not that it's negative, because not everything you get as a haunted item is negative either. But I agree with that. But there are things that, I call the rules of the road, the paranormal road, that you got to follow. And she was okay with everything. She just wanted to know what happened to her stone. She was upset.
Yeah.
That was her deal. That was her thing.
Yeah. Put it into perspective, guys. Many of us sit at the dinner table when we're eating our dinner, right? And we have I don't want to call it assigned seat, but our favorite spot, our normal spot, we usually sit at the dining room, or the table. Now, what happens if you walked in and all of a sudden everything has changed? Somebody else is sitting in your seat now. It's not your seat anymore. No, we've decided to move it. That's the same type of like uneven, unbalanced feelings. Kind of like, what do you mean that's my seat? It's not my seat anymore. What do you mean I can't sit at that table? So it's almost like a reflex or a habit that we get into, and it's imprinted in that habit. So that's kind of what you're dealing with. It may not upset the spirits like they want to harm you or retaliate, but they're gonna let you know they're upset about it.
Yeah. And again, talking a little bit further about positively haunted items, Jen said, I have a necklace that has a positive spirit attached to it. Wearing it makes me feel warm and happy. That's great. I mean, and we don't want to go around saying that every item that's haunted is negative. I mean, but when they're negative, you don't want any part of that at all. Excuse me. So I'm glad you got something that's positive. Here's just another really fun one too, because again, about this really place I don't ever talk about, the Wright Hotel. There's a chair at the right hotel at the dinner table, at the dining room table, that I had to ask permission to sit in. Wasn't my dining room table. So every time I go there now, since I got permission verbally and on recording, yeah, that'd be fine. Okay, so I will make sure I sit there every single time. That is my chair because I've been given permission to sit there. So even though the item doesn't come home with me, you can find these kind of items in places that you don't take home. And it's to me again, it's all about paying respect to the dead in a lot of ways. So to me, I ask for permission before I sit on the bed, a place I'm investigating. If I sit in a chair, if I move anything, if I open a door, I have a tendency to open it with respect, not come out and show yourself. God bless. Yeah, no, I mean, so you don't have to take an item home with you for it to be active when you're there. You go to one place long enough, like I have with the right hotel, and you make a relationship happen with these people, and they want to have you come back. We've been welcomed back several times on audio to the right hotel, and then I get assigned seating. So, that to me is great stuff. But I'm glad about the necklace. That's great. Now, Jen also asked, where would you get a Super 7 stone? Honestly, eBay, Amazon, they're going to have it. I'm not trying to say that everybody on eBay has a chance to swindle, but they might, so be careful. Get somebody that's got a really high rating and feedback, things like that before you get it, because, again, people are strange when you're a stranger,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, but Amazon, I probably would trust more than anything else. They really ensure their buyers. They really ensure everything that is going to go the way it's supposed to. So, yeah, go check it out on Amazon.
Yeah, you're looking at a
Um,
physical store as well.
yeah, but unfortunately, you're liable to pay a little more for it there. But you'll know it's a lot more legit at a metaphysical store than just about anywhere out there. All right, so then Alex just brought up something. She said Red Rocks in Missouri totally creeped me out. Um, a manager hung herself. I released her to the other side. Fortunately, the new management was very happy that I was there. They cooperated for a few minutes after the store closed, and we took care of the business. Yeah, I mean, here's my take on it, and again, she'll have a lot better answer than I will. There's somewhere that the energy has to go. Okay, it's not going to want to remain stagnant. It's going to want to be with an object that it knows, that it loves, and for some people, that's work. That's where they worked. A lot of times you got people putting 8 to 10 hours a day, even more sometimes, at a place they worked at, maybe 5 years, maybe 10, maybe 20. And a lot of the hauntings that I've experienced in businesses is because they were former workers. They just had to have somewhere to go. So all of a sudden now the building is haunted because they had to have somewhere to go with their energy. So it doesn't just have to be items. It could be places. So yeah.
Think of a place that makes you happy. Think of a place that, whenever you think, whenever you recollect it in your memory, that it brings a smile to your face, or it makes you want to be there. I can tell you right now, with the snow outside at my house, I'd like to be on a nice tropical island, but we won't go there. Nonetheless, guys, all joking aside, when you have that recollection, when you have that happy memory, that energy in itself draws you there. Okay. It's the same type of thing. Sometimes it's not, this is the place I picked for death. This is the place that I want to reside at after I die. Sometimes it's the fact of it's that memory, or that umbilical cord, that tetherment attachment is what brings you back to that place. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, when they die in a hospital, that doesn't mean they're going to haunt the hospital. They may go right back to their house. They may decide to go back to the place they love the most. So the death does not necessarily have to occur there. That doll or that object doesn't have to be present when that death occurs for things to be haunted or have energy attached to it. So it's kind of the tenement that we bring in life, okay, is kind of how we attach in death. And as Richard said, that energy it simply has to be present in the sense that in a conscious manner. So, I love this so much that when I go, this selenite is going to be part of my essence. And so, even though I pass away 500 miles away, there's still essence of this with me. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of how it works. Does it hold true to be haunted forever? Not necessarily. Like everything else, energy can dissipate, and sometimes the essence of you starts to dissipate. Let's take a stain and let's wash the stain over and over and over again. And through time, through the effort of scrubbing, through the effort of using different cleansers, through the effort of that elbow grease that you use, is going to help to dissipate that stain. Sometimes it's harder than others, but eventually it's going to fade a little bit. The same type of thing occurs sometimes with certain hauntings or certain possessions of objects.
Okay, so Phil says, I have a friend who collects old Ouija boards. People have told him that he's tempting fate. What do you think? And by the way, Katie, I was the guy who tried to call you during your thunderstorm this week to
Oh,
set up a
okay.
reading.
Okay, so we will touch base.
I don't think collecting, I mean, again, if you can feel the energy off of a Ouija board when you get it, it may need to be cleansed, okay, before you bring it in your home. Because we have to remember Ouija boards or doorway opener. So you have to be careful what energy might be attached to that board. The board themselves is not the problem, but it's what somebody did with it in the process. The conjuring that took place is what makes anything happen. But my God, you can do it with two pencils and a piece of paper. It won't matter. But yeah, I would, I would be a little leery about Ouija boards like that because, again, you don't know how they were used. It's good, bad, and ugly that comes out of those things, and you either learn how to manage them correctly or you don't. And and I would not receive one either unless I knew for a fact it was cleansed, or if I felt myself that it was cleansed or clear, then I might. But yeah, that's a harsh collectible. Our friend again, Tim Shaw, um, a great friend of the show. He collects them,
Mm-hmm.
and he's got some pretty wild looking ones too. So yeah, just not again for me. I'm the scaredy cat. Let's say that'll be fine. I'll take it. I'll take it. Liz, thank you very much. She said thank you for the show. Great show. Thank you very much for coming in. We
Yeah.
appreciate it very much. Let me see. We've got a lot coming through here, guys. You guys are great.
I know, amazing. Charles had said, when I go into an investigation, I always ask for permission and thank them when I leave. You know what? I agree with you, Charles. For me, I like to introduce myself. I like to tell them, I'm simply there to communicate. I'm not there to harm, disrespect, no demands. I'm going to respect your space, and I'm going to ask that you respect mine. And I also, at the end of any investigation or session that I do, I always say, you're also not welcome to come home with me. You stay here, I go there, and all will be well. In other words, I don't want you coming home with me. You're not welcome to, I'll call you, you don't call me type thing. So in other words,
Right.
like, don't come home with me. And that seems to work too, because sometimes we bring that home by accident, right? So
Yeah.
it's important that you kind of, it's all about that intent. It's all about what you want out of the situation. It's the same as Richard had said about the Ouija board or the spirit board. That is a doorway of communication. The intent on that is for communication.
Yep.
So communication, let's talk about that for a minute. When you pick up the phone to call somebody, you have an intent on somebody you're getting a hold of. In other words, when you pick up that phone, you're saying, I want to call my mother. I want to call my brother. I want to call my friend, right? With the Ouija board, lots of times with that active intent, you're like, who can I communicate with? And anytime that you open that up and say, who wants to speak with me? Anybody can come through. How often have you picked up the phone and randomly dialed a number with the intent of just talking to somebody? It happens, and wrong numbers occur as well. But the bottom line is you have the active intent of where it's going. So it's really important that when you're collecting these objects, if you choose to do so, that you know what you're getting into when you're collecting them. Some people collect dolls. That's not for communication. The purpose of collecting dolls wasn't for communication. It was for either housing dead spirits, loving the fact that the dolls itself were collectible, or liking the way they looked, but it wasn't about communication. So there's different intents behind it. Again, stones. What are stones for? Some people like the color. Sometimes they like the look. Sometimes they like the feel, and sometimes they like the vibration, right? It's all about the intent on why you have these things. So anything built for communication may house a little bit more energy than you're looking for.
Yeah, and you talking about dolls. Here's another. Susie said
Mhm.
I had bought my Dolly a doll from a garage sale, and she never liked it. And she would say that I don't like her. She looks at me, and the doll went in the trash and went in and out to the
Mhm.
trash and the next day.
Amen, Susie.
Hmm.
Amen. Yep.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. And I know we're picking a lot on dolls.
There's many different
Yeah.
things. Paintings, mirrors. We've talked about mirrors 100 times. Mirrors have a way of being portals. Um, what else? Old war paraphernalia, different types of period pieces, anything that holds energy. Paper, letters written with the intent in that letter can hold pieces.
Yep.
Money, jewelry. All of those things have sentimental value. Knives. It doesn't have to be guns. It could be. There's many different things. There's not. There, you can't put stipulation on a haunted object. You can't say because it's this, it can't be haunted.
Right.
There's no physical limitations to these things. I've had, the pleasure of, I say the pleasure of seeing, I say that lightly, of seeing many different haunted objects, some of which I wouldn't pick up and some of which I had no problems touching. As a psychic, psychometry is part of what I do. And so, sometimes I'm not afraid to pick up these things, but you have to ask yourself, when you do pick up an item, how does it feel when you touch it? How do you feel? Do you feel sick right away? Do you get flashes? Do you feel, anger? Do you feel, how do you feel? And when you take it home, a week after you've brought it home, how do you feel then? Look at that situation with Susie. She, the doll was purchased for Dolly, and it wasn't Susie that had a problem with that doll. It was Dolly that did. And so, you may not even get the imprint, but if somebody else is getting bad vibes around that, you have to pay attention to those things and respect it at the same time.
Yeah. You really have to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, Liz was saying that, and my friend hasn't taken it out of the box. It's still in the box outside.
Yeah.
Eh, eh.
Lawn ornament.
Might not be a place to keep it. Just saying. Um,
Now, Mort says I was given two haunted items from two different friends. Both were affected by the items, but I had no activity. So I think we had talked about that a little bit earlier. You
mhm.
don't have to pick up the energy. You don't have to.
Right.
Now, Charles has said, when I go, oh, what did I say? I thought he had another one. No, sorry, same comment. Now, Eric had said, I've been investigating for 12 years and I was skeptical of the items having attached until buying a late 19th century mobile last rites box. So mobile last rites box at an auction. Bringing it home was my biggest mistake. 3 days having it in the house made me a believer and ended up in Zach Bagans Museum. Well, Eric, I'm sorry you had to go through that, buddy. I mean, I have been witness to things physically moving. These stories are real. It does happen. And sometimes it has the ability to really to hurt you, to cause not only physical pain, but emotional pain, to cause depression, to cause, you wanting to hurt yourself or hurt others. So, it's limitless. Let's put it that way. There's a lot of things that can occur that just doesn't have to be physical.
No, it doesn't. And Eric, thanks for coming out on the show. He said, "Hey guys, much love." Saw the description of the show, and with my involvement with haunted objects, I just definitely had to hop in and listen in. So we welcome you to the show, Eric. Thank you. Appreciate it. Gosh, you guys are great. So much
Yeah.
stuff.
Now,
Now,
Michael says, on average,
yeah.
how many spirits can come through a board? Honestly, it's like there's no limit to it, Michael. It's like saying how many phone calls can you get on a phone? You have to realize that this is similar to a phone. Okay. So is there a limited amount of times that you can dial out or dial in? No, it's how much you choose to communicate with it. It's how you close the board down when you're done communicating. The same thing applies for any paranormal equipment you're using or any type of equipment you're using to communicate. You're closing it down. When I do readings for people, at the moment, I'm doing a lot of online video sessions. Even though I'm sitting in the comfort of my own home and that individual sitting in the comfort of their own home, and it could be across the world, I still surround myself in good juju, have myself protected at all times. You can't see, but I've got other things going on to kind of amulets and stuff to be protected. I ask for a prayer for protection. I ask my guys to come around, and when I'm done the session, I wipe my feet. I'm done. I literally say, I hereby done with the session. You're not allowed to stay with me. Get to stepping. Like, go home.
Get to stepping.
Ta-ta. But out you go. Because I don't need things hanging around. You can get very, very sick. When I first started doing this, kind of full time, I was bedridden for about 8 days. I had no concept of letting things go. I just invited everything in and said, come on, let's have a chat. And I had no idea what I was getting into. So it's really important that you're keeping your sacred space sacred and safe.
Absolutely. Since we've been talking, Michael and Robin have popped in. Hey, guys.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of discussion about. There's so many elements you could talk about here. And we've just been trying to go through the feed.
Absolutely.
All right,
so
David, take care.
Objects. Is there a limit on haunted objects? No. Can an entity haunt one object? No. The essence of something can occur. So, for example, let's take a rock, for example. Okay. This stone, so this is a euperlite. I talked about it in a past episode, but euperlite, okay? This is just a piece. This is, think of it like a grain of sand in the desert. It's a piece of something that was bigger at one time. Does it mean that the energy is lessened because it's been broken up? No, it's just been passed on in many different directions. The same thing occurs with energy. So let's take a hospital room, for example. Say a tragic event happened. There was a bad accident, bad example, but bad accident. The whole team was in there, tried to save the person. Person couldn't do it. And now this person's angry because they died. Does it choose the table to haunt, the light to haunt, or to attach to absorb that energy? No, not necessarily. It can be absorbed into the whole hospital. Just because that person died tragically in that one room doesn't mean it can't go farther or choose different inanimate objects or animate objects to kind of absorb the energy in. And we go back to that stone tape theory. So basically, there's no thing that's too big or too small. Vehicles can be haunted, houses can be haunted, rings can be haunted. And haunted, I'm using the word lightly, absorbed information. I don't necessarily think that a spirit goes, I'm going to live inside this ring or this rock. I don't think it's that way. I think it's the essence of energy into it, that there's a tetherment that occurs. Okay. So years ago, think of it like a phone with a cord. You couldn't walk very far because you were tethered to the wall, essentially talking on the phone. The same type of thing applies with energy, only the cord doesn't run out of space. The cord can keep going as far as it wants, but they're still going back to that home base, essentially.
Yeah, no, fully agree. Now Michael says, so I take it that it's like mirrors throwing reflection to infinity, bringing through spirits. Yeah, we didn't really talk very much about mirrors tonight, but that is, I've been in several locations where they have mirrors facing each other. It literally is like watching people cross the bridge. It's pretty amazing how much gets done through mirrors. Like, if you've ever done scrying in a mirror, yes, I understand it takes peace and quiet and concentration, but the stuff you'll see will freak you out. I've done it. Mirrors are crazy.
There's a famous haunted mirror called the Dark Mirror. And it's the only mobile museum that it goes through, and it's a mysterious reflector. They talk about it basically literally takes on a life of its own. Now it has been purchased. It's in the States, I believe, and you don't have to see that specific mirror to be haunted, but it is one of the most haunted mirrors, they say.
Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't have to be on your command that it presents itself as being active. You can't make the paranormal happen. It'll happen in its time. So it may not show at that moment, but at 10 o'clock tomorrow, it'll be there. You just have to be cognizant of that fact of it. Now, Michael says, can one learn to know when or where a portal is around them? Can I use the trucker version for a minute?
Absolutely,
Thanks.
Darren. Go on.
Okay, so here's how I know I'm near a portal. And it's going to be different for some people. But for me,
Mhm.
I can actually feel the vibration of a portal before I get to it. When I get to it, I can have bouts of dizziness, lightheadedness, nausea. You can actually feel the energy permeate through your body if you're stepping into one. Now, for a person who doesn't have abilities, I think a lot of that still holds true. I think you can feel, dizziness. But I've seen people step into a portal didn't know it, and they're like, "Oh my God, I'm dizzy." Yeah, that's the amount of electromagnetic field that goes through a portal. It's got to register with your body somewhere.
Mhm.
So there's different ways. Again, I would probably say you might feel lightheaded, you might feel dizzy. The nausea is kind of a heavy effect, but you almost will have a bout of vertigo sometimes too that you have to
Mhm.
be cognizant of. It might not be that you're dizzy because of something that happened. It might be dizzy because of the energy being given out. So you have to really be really sensitive, be aware. I'm real big on situational awareness. I want to know, and being a psychic medium, you can feel and sense where the portals are.
Mhm.
And you can, it's funny because for me, and I'll turn it over to Katie, I promise, guys. I know for me, it is kind of repellent. Portals are repellent to me. I don't like them. I don't like the energy given out. Even if it's not bad energy, it's still that level of energy is extreme.
Mhm.
So that's the reason why they're repellent to me. I don't like it. But that's just my personal preference. But Katie will tell you the better answer now. Go ahead, Katie. Give it to him.
So there's no better answer. Um, portals are basically, think of it like a major intersection, major highway. There's things coming out. Sometimes it's a one-way street. And how do you feel when you're standing there? You can feel things move. You feel that movement. You feel the energy, the flow, kind of like a raging river. So, does it make you feel anxious? Does it make you feel tired? Does it make you feel, energized? There's many different emotions you may be feeling. The key is, are you feeling sick? Are you feeling, you know, um, emotional? Are you feeling, any negative feelings? From there, that's when you want to determine, what you're actually dealing with. Is this something, is it an entity imprinting this on you, or are you kind of in a situation where you're at a vortex or a portal? Um, it also depends on where the situation is. So, for example, um, in the wilderness, you may notice EMF spikes.
Mm-hmm.
There's naturally occurring EMF spikes, but like unnatural EMF spikes. If you're in a location that doesn't have a lot of hydro going through or zero hydro at all, and you're noticing these EMF spikes, a lot of times when they're extremely high and they spike up and down kind of in a cyclical manner, that could be a portal. Dealing with mirrors,
Excuse me.
mirrors can be those portals. Um, are you getting EMF spikes off of that too? So sometimes mirrors can have attachments in the sense that it can hold an energy, or it can be a doorway. And there's dimensional shifts that occur. They've said that Stonehenge is a portal. Some of the, Egypt, some of the pyramids are portals. There's one down in Arizona, which, Sedona area, they're portals. It's a natural occurring shift of energy. So again, how do you feel when you go to those places? I am somebody that doesn't like heights. So for me, airplanes, going in an airplane is not my thing. I would avoid that at all costs. But there's, some other people love it. So you have to read the energy on how you feel about it. You're going to be able to read you. Okay. Nobody likes to feel sick. Nobody likes to feel scared. Nobody likes to feel angry in a sense. So if those are the things that you're feeling, then potentially step back away from it. Ask yourself to be, um, covered in white light and protected and try and go back at it again? Is it your body physically reacting? You see, what happens sometimes is on a psychic basis, you're picking up on energy, but the vibration in your spiritual side is higher than your physical side. So I always put it into perspective like this: when you're driving, I don't know if those of you who know how to drive standard, or if you ride a bicycle with gears, you can make your vehicle or your bike work harder, okay, in a lower gear where it's easier, but you're not getting as far. Or you can, if you're going faster, you need to gear up or gear down. You're going to change speeds. When you're receiving anything psychic, or you're walking into a portal, anything like that, your vibration shifts up and your body doesn't know what to do. And so it's kind of like thinking like with a vehicle, your body's waiting for it to shift and it doesn't know. You're the driver and you need to shift it up and down. So sometimes it gets behind a little bit. So you may people who are having spiritual awakenings sometimes will experience nausea, they'll experience anxiety, they'll experience tingles in their body, dizziness, white flashes of light, they'll experience insomnia. Those are not necessarily bad things when you're going through an ascension process, but they can be scary. So please try not to mistake anytime you're walking into some sort of form of energy, your fear, because it's a human response, versus what you're physically or you're psychically imprinting on the situation. Is it your body reacting, or are you actually feeling this from said energy? So it's really important to get to know your body and know the situations. If I was to go into an airplane and I was to sit beside a haunted object, my things are going to be heightened because I'm already afraid of being in the air. Okay. If somebody who is afraid of dolls goes into a doll museum, I would personally have a hard time reading the energy because the human response takes over. So, to kind of answer that question, to know a portal is really knowing your body and your energy.
Right. Right. Now, Stephanie says that my brother saw portals as a toddler in an old pre-Civil War plantation house we lived in as kids. He would see them in the closets and he would open the door and scream bloody murder. Um, wow, that's rough.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then Michael says, so you're saying that, Richard, there are negative and positive energies. Is this correct? Absolutely. And again, you can run into both types. You can run into neutral energy too with an item. If it's been surrounded by high vibration, that'll carry forward. It's not as prevalent as items that have either the high vibration or the low vibration in them. But yeah, I mean, I've been in a stream and you pick up rocks, a stream rock or a river stone. Whoa, those have some really nice energy with them, and that stuff I don't mind dealing with. But I guess I am a scaredy cat.
Yeah. So people are asking about Stonehenge. It's Henge, Henge, if that's what you're asking. They were saying, is it hinge or hedge? It's Henge. Now, somebody had asked, I have felt that when I cross intersecting ley lines. Charles, you know what? I agree with you. I've come across a few ley lines in my time, and it's kind of an unnerving feeling. You feel kind of uneven or like you're off kilter. That's because there's two energy waves going in different directions, or they're kind of perpendicular and they're meeting each other. Ley lines is for those of you that don't know, are natural lines of energy or highways of rows of energy that happen throughout the world, and there are certain monumental things that are on these ley lines. So again, in Sedona, in Arizona, in the pyramids and Niagara Falls, those types of things, there's naturally energy occurring in those ley line areas. And you know what? Those are places where portals can happen, or dimensional shifts. There's conspiracy theories towards that. There are some studies that suggest that you can portal to different dimensions or parallel dimensions through ley lines. I've never experienced that. I've experienced time warps and loops in time close to ley lines. It's almost like there was a kind of a breach in the matrix, if you want to get kind of all tinfoil hatty, but it does happen.
Yep. Okay, so we're there for that. This is a lot of commentary, guys. We really appreciate it a lot.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Richard, it's healthier to have caution and fear
Mhm.
towards what we can't explain. Call me a scaredy cat too. I tell you, my natural level of caution is because I've experienced a lot of nasty stuff. And you get, the whole once bitten, twice shy
Mhm.
thing plays really well for me. Um, and it's going to sound really weird to hear and say for me to say it, but as I get older, I like to be smarter about what I expose myself to. Your
Mhm.
body doesn't recover as well as it used to. It just doesn't. I mean, yeah, I get it. I sound like a bowl of Rice Krispies getting out of the bed in the morning. I understand that. But emotionally and physically, because, as a psychic medium, even investigating takes a toll on you. The life expectancy of a psychic medium is less than a person without abilities, because every time we read, every time we investigate, every time we connect, we lose a little piece of ourselves. And that's just something that, for me, like I can't do what Katie does. I can't jump into, 6, 8, 10 readings a day. Holy mackerel. I would have to be on B12 supplements. I'd have to have a Red Bull every hour on the hour. And I would have to, stand out in the sun while I did it to get vitamin D, because, whoa, that's why
I've
I won't
slowed
do group
down.
readings.
Yeah, I've slowed down, to be honest with you. I'm starting to learn the hard way. After getting sick, I've had to kind of
Susie.
pick my battles and pick I've had to slow down. I had no choice. It's important whenever you put any intent on anything, you know, the, the old adage of blood, sweat, and tears, when you put your all in something,
Yeah.
um, no matter what it is in life, your energy goes into that place. And, it's not just think of a painting, think of art. You sometimes think of a photograph from a photographer, or, a piece of sculpture that somebody has devoted their time to. And let's go even further to, farmers who have devoted their life, or ranchers, or, no matter what it is that you're doing, when you devote yourself to that and you put your all into it, it takes a little piece from you every single time. It's energy that you're giving out. Um, the same thing occurs with psychic medium work, and the difference is not only are you giving energy, but there's something who's taking your energy while you're giving it, and so it's almost like a double take, as Richard said. You're giving so much, so it's important no matter what you do in this. I don't want to call it industry, but in this world, as far as paranormal investigating or trying to communicate with the other side, that you're taking the safe precautions to make sure that you are reserving a little bit for you.
Do you believe we're almost already gone through an hour and a half?
You know, that's
12
unbelievable.
minutes left. And I've seen a couple of people already mentioned on here, and Michael, thank you for reminding that we need to do this. But we want to wish also everyone a Merry Christmas too before we close out for the night. Yeah, we appreciate y'all being here. I know it's a crazy time of year for everyone to kind of gather around a camera or a phone or a laptop and watch a show when you got, oh, I've got to do Christmas shopping. And we appreciate your time. We really, really do. And we do hope that this show helps everybody that it comes in contact with. And, we just want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas. We don't want to forget before the end of the show. And
Yeah.
because that time will seep away on us pretty quick.
And as you know,
Uh,
guys, the end of the year, we usually take a couple of weeks off. Christmas Day or Boxing Day is on the 26th, Sunday, and then the following week is January 2nd. That's kind of New Year's weekend. So we won't be having a show those weekends, but we'll be coming back after that. Richard is always Mr. Organized. Our executive producer will be he's paid the big bucks to put the ads out. So you'll look for our ads for next year. But yeah, absolutely. Happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, all of that, all
Happy
of them. I say
Kwanzaa.
happy everything.
No, and guys, again, we appreciate. Yes, I'm glad Katie reminded me that yeah, we're going to be stepping away for the holidays, but we really do wish you guys had the best of holidays. Again, we thank you for coming out here and spending your time with us and engaging as much as you guys have. It's
Mhm.
amazing to have you with us. And we will be returning on January 9th, which is the Sunday after the first of the year. Um, but we really want you all to be safe. We're already dwindling down already in time. So we want you all to have a safe holiday. And the main part about this is, guys, love each other, man. Love your families, love your people, and but you better be back here on January 9th.
No
Telling you right
pressure.
now,
And you know
no
what, guys?
pressure at all.
Throughout the holidays, if you have a subject you want to talk about, if you have questions, if you want us to bring it up, part of it, a part of the chat, please don't hesitate to DM us. If you have any questions, you can private message, you can put it in the comments. We would love to talk about it. I mean, Richard named it a great theme. Let's talk about it. We want to talk about it. We're gonna have some great guests coming up next year. We've got some great guests lined up. It's been pretty crazy time of year, so it was hard to kind of get some people in. Everybody's running and scrambling to get things finished for the year. So next year we've got some pretty cool cats coming on. So I'm pretty excited about that. We're not going to release any names yet until we get the dates, but it's going to be pretty cool.
It is. It really is. And we're down to 9 minutes left. Oh God. Oh God. We'll miss you guys so much for the next 2 weeks. Oh, gosh. Just a final note, like Katie said, though, if you guys have a subject matter you want to discuss, we've had many responses and messages about that. And we've actually brought them into the show. We've made shows around that subject matter. So it's not a waste of your time. If you bring it forward and we haven't already talked about it 100 times, we would love to be able to talk about it. Well, because we like to let's talk about it. It fits. And I didn't come up with that title by myself, by the way.
I think you did. That was pretty cool.
Man, we talked about it for about 30 seconds and figured it out. Didn't take long. But guys, yeah, this is a blast, and God, I can't believe this whole year is already gone bye-bye. It's done. One thing I want to say, shameless plug, forgive me, but February 5th, we have an event at the Wright Hotel and Chatsworth Depot, 2 locations. There's only 4 tickets left. That's it. And when they're gone, they're gone. And this place is always pleased. It's the guests that have come and even the investigation teams that have booked it. It has never let anyone down. And we do a great job for the Historical Society by giving the money to them. The proceeds go to them, and they use it on maintaining these beautiful buildings. Guys, 4 tickets left. We'd love to have you out. It's a 5-hour investigation. It's open to the public. Bring your own equipment if you want to. You can. You can also work with ours while we're there. We investigate together. If you want to learn something about investigating, that's what we're there for as well. I'd rather have you learn it correctly than not. We'd like to have you all come out. Go to my page, or you can go to the Haunted Travelers Facebook page and click on the events, and there's a link right there to get your tickets. I know they're going to be sold out, I would assume, by the end of this week, if not sooner. But we would like to have you out. We have a great time when we do it. We'd like to also get you into the Human Pendulum. Oh, yeah. Nikki, you're great. Nikki says it's truly an awesome place. Thank you, Nikki. She's been there and she knows. She had a lot of fun. But come on out and have a good time. It's just really designed to just enjoy this together and relax and come get your scare on.
So listen, guys, we're gonna wrap up early. I have some stuff I gotta take care of with my horse. Thank you so much from our house to yours, all around the world. Thank you so much. Richard and I are gonna see.
Wow, I kind of blinked out on this there. Sorry about that.
Bye. See you next year.
Bye, guys.